Hi, this is Juliana, and today I'm going to show you how to make this Dewdrop Fairy Bracelet in two different styles. So you can see there's kind of a more spread out style. I like to call it Steppingstone, and then more of a clustered style with the flowers. And I'm showing you the two different styles today because I had both of them in my head and I wanted to make both of them. And they use the same components. They both use these larger, I'm calling them flowers, Chaton, tomato, Chaton components, the bezeled Chaton, and they also have the bezeled pearl component on both bracelets. So the only difference between the two is your connection and how you configure it, right? And the thing I love about these components is that you can configure them obviously however you want to. You could make an earring out of them if you have a ear wire. You could make, I clustered the three larger ones on this bracelet and then put all the smaller ones on the back. And on this one I kind of did them small, large, alternately. Or you could just do a whole bracelet with just these little flower components, or a whole bracelet with the larger ones. So it's very versatile components to work with. They are kind of dimensional. It's like, to me, the middle of a flower where the little poofy stuff sticks up. I don't know if they're called stamen or whatever, but kind of like a flower. It has dimension and texture. And then these are kind of a little bit roughly, not terribly, but just a little. And then, of course, the pearl bezels are really roughly like a flower. Also, you can do them in multiple colors. The collection I made these with came with 3 different colors of actually 4 colors of Toho if you count the white, and also different colors Delica. So I made use of the various colors, and on this one I did several colors on the same pearl. So I'm going to show you how to do this both ways, and what I'll do is I'll show you how to make each component, and then I will put a timestamp on which connection you want to use, and then you can decide how you want to configure them and which connections you want to use until you get to your desired bracelet length. And that's it. So we'll go over materials next. The materials I used to create these bracelets came from the Eureka Crystal Songbird Blossom collection, which is sold out. However, the components that make up the collection are generally not sold out, and they are listed under the collection on the website, and I'll leave links to all that in the description below. I'll also leave the sizes of the beads. And you could purchase your materials from your favorite supplier. You may have them in your stash. Most of them are fairly common. Or you may have bought the collection out of leftovers. I don't have many leftovers because by the time I finished making this pendant and the 2 bracelets, I had used a lot of my stash here, down to 1 little pearl here. So the supplies that I used were these. Let me start with the thing that I always forget to tell y'all, because I use them all in the making and then I forget to mention them. These 8mm Chatons, and these clasps. This clasp came from the collection, and I needed another one for this one, which I had in my own stash. But we put the clasp on the same way. So these mini duos, super duos. These are Tohos. This is white that came in a tube, and these 3 came in a mix in the collection, along with these 8-0 Tohos. There was also a mix of Delicas that came in the pink, the crystal, and the green, and they also had a silver one, which I did not use here. These are 11-0 Miyukis that came in a mix of 3 sizes galvanized silver. This is 11.0 and the 15.0. I didn't use the 8. These are little adorable Magatama beads, which I refer to as drops throughout the video because I don't want to say Magatama a million times. These Chinese rondelles, which came in this pink and also a blue, I used the pink for these. 3mm pearl and the 6mm pearl. I also used a 6-pound fire line, and I mostly used in a size 11 needle. You could have a 12 on hand because some of this does get pretty tight in there at times. And I believe that is it, so let's get started. So we're going to bezel this Chaton, this 8mm. I added a wingspan of thread to my needle and put a stop bead on, and then onto that thread I have put on 10 of each of these beads. 10 11.0 Miyukis and 10 Magatama drops, and slide those all the way down to the bottom, and then you're going to go through them all again. Careful not to miss any. And if you can get them all on your needle, you can check to see if you have a needle showing anywhere. That means you missed something, like I have right there. Some needle showing. So I'm going to come back through and catch that bead. Check it again, and it all looks good. I'm going to slide those down to the bottom. Well, they're already on the bottom. I'm just going to pull it tight. And then I'm going to go through all of those beads one more time. And when you get to the beginning, go through a couple of them till you get to one of the 11.0 Miyukis, and that's what you want to be coming out of. And I'm going to pick up an 11.0 Miyuki, and I'm going to go through the drop and through the next Miyuki. Pick up an 11.0, go through the Miyuki, the drop, and the next Miyuki 11.0. We're going to do that all the way around. Alright, I'm on my last 11.0. I went through the drop and the next Miyuki. I'm going to just flip this over and go up to the Miyuki on top of it, the 11.0. And I am going to pick up an 11.0, one of the 11.0 Tohos, and go through the next 11.0 Miyuki. Ran out of my Tohos, hang on. Pick up an 11.0 and go through the next green or whatever color you're using there, 11.0. We're going to do that all the way around. I'm on my last 11.0 Toho. And give it a little tug. You're going to see that you're cupping here, and that's okay. That's what you want it to do. I'm going to pick up a 15.0, go to the next Toho. $15.0, next Toho. Just going to push that 15.0 around to the interior of your little cup there. We're going to do that all the way around. I'm on my last 15-0, going through this last toho and then the 15-0 next to it. Now I'm going to pick up a 15-0. I'm going to go through the next 15-0. And I'm going to go ahead and put my Chaton in face down. And just kind of hold it in there for now. I'm going to pull to a little snug when I put these 15-0s on for this row. So 15-0 and into the next 15-0. Just pull it snug, and we'll do that all the way around. On my last 15-0, I'm going into that 15-0 and then the one above it. Okay. Now I'm going to pick up another 15-0, skip this 15-0 and go into the next, the one that's kind of poking out. Pick up a 15-0, skip one, go into the next one that's kind of poking out. Keep pulling things snug. Do that all the way around. See you back here. Alright, I'm on my last 15-0, going into that 15-0 and the one next to it. Pulling all that snug. And coming out of this 15-0, I'm just going to go around and just go through the 15-0s that I just added in that last row. So I'm coming out of that one, I'm skipping that like step down one and going back up through the next pokey outy kind of 15-0. Just the ones I just added in that last row. And I'll be back. I'm going to do that all the way around. Alright, I finished going around this little circle and actually went through it twice. And pull it super snug each time you go through it. I also threaded my tail thread and went ahead and wove that in. If you want to go ahead and do that, you can pause and do it and come back, or you may have already done it, or you may not want to do it till later. That's up to you. However you want to do it. So I am coming out of this bead right here, this 15-0. And I'm going to go up through these two 15-0s. Now I'm coming out of this one. I'm going to go into this green 11-0 right here. And then back up the green 11-0 above it. And the drop bead. I'm going to pick up a crystal looking delica bead. Now this collection came with a mix of delicas, different colors, so you could use any color that you wanted, but I decided to go with the crystal. Use anything in your stash too. And I'm going to go from this drop bead into the next one. Pick up your delica and go into the next drop. yes, I am working awkwardly backwards. Not the direction I prefer. We're going to do that all the way around. I'm coming up to my last delica. Got it on my needle, going through that drop bead there and the 11-0. And I'm going to come back up through the delica on top of that 11-0. And I'm going to be working in my favorite direction, backwards, not so much. Pick up a 15-0, coming out of the delica, go into the next delica. And I'm going to start pulling those delicas toward the chaton in the middle. 15-0, next delica. I'm going to tug them toward the middle. We're going to do that all the way around. I'm on my last 15-0, going through that delica, and then the 15-0 next to the delica. We're stepping up. So now I'm coming out of that 15-0. I'm going to pick up a 15-0 and go into the next 15-0. Pick up a 15-0 and into the next 15-0. Doing that all the way around. And you see I'm kind of pushing it toward the middle too. See you in a few. That's my last second line of 15-0s. Going through that 15-0. So I'm coming out of one of those first tiers of 15-0s. I'm going to pick up a 15-0. And I'm going to skip this next 15-0 and go in the one below it. So it's going to be over that delica there. Pick up a 15-0. Coming out of that one, skip the next one, go in the one below it. We're going to do that all the way around. On my last 15-0, going over that delica, skipping this 15-0 and into that 15-0 on the bottom row. These are kind of dimensional. I kind of wanted them that way because to me it looks like the middle of a flower. So I'm coming out of this 15-0 right here. I'm going to go down through that drop bead and the 11-0 next to it. I'm going to flip this over so I can bead in the right direction. I'm going to coming out of that 11-0, I'm going to come down to the bottom one here and go through that. And then pick up a 3mm pearl and go right into that next 11-0. 3mm pearl and into the next 11-0. We're going to do that all the way around. Coming up on my last pearl. That's what you should have so far. I'm going to pick up a mini duo. Well, hang on a minute, getting ahead of myself here. I'm coming out of that 11-0 right there. I'm going to go through the pearl. Now I'm going to pick up a mini duo and go into the next pearl. Mini duo, next pearl. We're going to do that all the way around. I'm adding my last mini duo, going through that pearl and the next mini duo. It launched. Okay, I'm going to pick up a 15-0, an 11-0, and a 15-0. And you can do this in any color. The collection came with green and pink and blue. I'm going to use the blue. You can use any of these or any color you've got on hand. I'm going to go through the bottom of the next mini duo. So I'm coming out of the bottom, going through the bottom. 15-0, 11-0, 15-0. You could even do all three colors if you wanted to. Going through the bottom of the next mini duo. Can't seem to hang on to that today. I'm going to do that all the way around. I am finishing up my little 11-0s and 15-0s, going through the bottom of this mini duo, and through that next 15-0 and 11-0. And I'm going to go through that 15-0 and the mini duo. Flip back over again, and I'm going to go up the top of that mini duo I'm coming out of. I'm going to go through the 15-0, skip the 11-0, and go back through the 15-0 on the other side, skipping the 11-0, and through the top of the mini duo. Through the next 15-0, yeah, it's trying to catch every other bead in there. Skip the 11-0, through the next 15-0, and the top of the mini duo. We're going to do that all the way around. Alright, I've gone through my last little trio here, coming out of this 15-0. I'm going to go up through that top hole of that mini duo. We're going to make a total of 3 of these for each bracelet. Okay, we're going to work on this little component right here, this little 6mm pearl. And I have got about 2.5 feet of thread on my needle, and I put a stop bead on it with about a 4 and 5 inch tail, give or take. I am going to pick up the pearl, just begin with, and slide that on down. And then we're going to start working on our delicas. And you can use, this mix came with 4 colors of delicas. You can use all of the colors. You can use just one color. You can use a couple of colors. What I did was use just the pink and the green. So however you want to do that. But we're going to start with 7 delicas. And I'm alternating. I'm going to slide those down. And then I'm going to go to the other side of my pearl. And come up through the pearl. So I'm coming out of the top of this pearl. And I'm going to start with my next 7. And you want to start with the color that you're coming out of right here. So if you're coming out of, if you're alternating colors, you want to start with that one. If you have only 2 alternate colors. So I'm going to come back up the bottom of that pearl. Something that looks like that. Now I'm going to go through down this side of the pearl, of the delicas, rather. I'm going to pull that stop bead down a little out of the way. And when I get to the gap at the bottom, I'm going to pick up my alternate color and go through the other side and all the way up the other side. Now I'm at the gap at the top. I'm going to pick up my alternate color and go back down. And just go down a couple. And you should have that. So I was just checking out what I did with mine. I put on the second row, I did alternating colors on the second row too. But again, you can do this however you like. So I'm coming out of a green delica here. I'm going to pick up a pink one. Go back through that green and through the next delica. Coming out of a pink one, I'm going to pick up a green one, go back through the pink, and come out of the next delica. Straighten them out if they want to be cattywampus on there. Now we are going to do that all the way around. I'm coming up to my last delica here, and I have a delica loaded on my needle. Now I'm going to turn it over so I'm beading in the right direction for me. And I'm going to go to the delica above. I'm coming out of this pink delica. I'm going to go to this green delica above it and through a couple more. 4 more, looks like. And I'm going to go through all of those delicas again. Starting to curve up, and that is what it should be doing, cupping that pearl. Cupping, cuddling, however you want to look at it. So I'm coming around to where I began, and I'm just going to go through a couple of more, 3 more, and pull everything tight. Now you have a nice little jacket on your pearl. Nice little bezel. I'm coming out of this green Delica. I'm going to pick up a 15-0. Come back through the other side of that Delica and through the Delica next to it. Pick up a 15-0. Go back through the Delica I'm coming out of and the Delica in front of it. Just making sure it sits up there properly. And I'm going to do that all the way around. I'm on my last 15-0, coming through that last Delica bead. I'm going to, coming out of this Delica right here, I'm going to go to the 15-0 right above it and a couple of its buddies. Make sure they're straight and not twisted, because they can twist. And then we are going to go through all of these 15-0s that we just added, making sure that none of them are twisted when we go through them. Okay, I just want to show you that when we're pulling these tight, we just can push the beads up. I've gone through about 4 of them. Just going to push the beads up towards your pearl, and then start pulling it tight. And you're going through the next set and guide it towards your pearl, and then keep going. Alright, I've finished going through all of those and pulled them tight. Should have what looks like that. And now I'm coming out of this little 15-0 right here. I'm going to go down a Delica bead, the one right next to it. Maybe 2, whatever my needle goes, I'll let it go to. Pull that snug. Flip it over. Coming out of that Delica. And I go into these Delica down here. And again, if it goes through 2, that's fine, 1 or 2. I went ahead also and put a needle on my tail thread and got rid of it because it was getting on my nerves. Okay, so now I'm coming out of that pink Delica. I'm going to pick up a 15-0 and go through the other side of that Delica and the Delica next to it. This is the same thing we did on the other side. Pick up a 15-0, go through the Delica I'm coming out of, and the one in front of it. We're going to do that all the way around. Alright, I have a confession. I seriously underestimated how much thread I was going to need. So I had to tie my thread off and then add another thread. And I thought, you know, what if you don't know how to tie your thread off with a peyote? So I'm just going to show you while I'm adding my new thread. So you do this the same way whether you're getting rid of thread, tying your thread off, or putting new thread on. You're going to start somewhere in your peyote to put the new thread on. And go through a couple of Delicas. And you don't need a long tail because you're not really going to weave it in. Not your tail thread. So I'm coming out of those 2. I'll push these beads up a little out of the way. I'm going to go through these 2 next to it. If you already know how to do this, just skip it. I am going to timestamp it. And then I'm going to go right back down through those same 2 beads that I just came through. The name of the game is to go through several beads and crisscross your thread, and in the realm of peyote, that's going to make a knot for you. It'll get all knotted inside the beads, and it holds remarkably well. If you've ever tried to unthread a peyote pattern, you'll know that it's very effective at knotting up. So I'm just going through a couple of beads. I'm following my thread line so that no thread is showing, and I'm going back and forth a little bit. And once I've done that to the point that I think it's secure, and you're going through 2, 3, 4 beads at a time, whatever you can get, then you're going to want to, if you're tying off your threads, you can just go ahead and burn it off. If you're putting on threads, you need to get back to the point where you're coming out of the bead where you need to be. So I'm going to go back, since I'm coming out of there, I'm going to go back through the bead next to it so I don't have a thread line, a thread showing. Back down a couple of those. I'm going to come down next to that and go down a bead or two. And what I did here is probably a little overkill, but just so you get the idea. Pushing those beads out of my way. Now, where I want to be coming out of is that pink one, so I can go ahead and add my next 15-0. So I'm going to go up through the bead next to my delica there that I'm coming out of, and through all the beads in front of it until I get to that exit point that I want. See, you got this little short tail thread. As soon as you're done adding this, you can go ahead and tie that off or burn it off or cut it off. So I'm now coming out of the green bead, and I want to be coming out of that little next pink one so I can add my next 15-0. And I'm ready to go again. 15-0. Just keep right on continuing my pattern. I would like to say, through that delica and the next one in front of it, I would like to say that I deliberately made a short thread so I could show y'all how to do this. But that is not the case. So I just underestimated. All right, I'm going to burn that off. I'm going to continue putting these on. And then just like the other side, once I get them all on, I'm going to go through them all again, pulling them tight as we go, so that it pulls them all together on top of the pearl. And then we'll be back. And I have finished up pretty much tightening this little row of 15-0s around that pearl. So now I'm going to sneak back, coming out of that 15-0 right there. I'm going to sneak back toward the back row here. Just go through a delica or two if you need to. Turning it over so I can be in the right direction. And I'm going through this green delica right next to the pink one I'm coming out of. I'm going to do the same square stitch with the 15-0s again. I'm going to pick up a 15-0 coming out of that green delica, go into the next one, and go into the green and the next pink in front of that. 15-0, next pink and the green in front of that. We're going to do that all the way around. Only this one we're just going to leave kind of sitting on top of these, the beads that we're adding to. I am coming to my last 15-0 here, going through the delica and the one in front of it. Now these are kind of sitting to the like spokes on it. I'm going to pick up an 11-0 Toho. And these came with the collection in 3 colors in this mix. Pink and green and blue. And you can use any of the colors you want. You can actually use all of the colors if you want. Also, they came with a white Toho, and you could use those as well. I went with a blue on this one. Again, you can mix it up and do however you want to do it. So I'm going to go ahead, I might switch it up and do a pink on this one. Alright, well I'm coming, let me get where I need to be first. I'm coming out of that Delica. I'm just going to go right up into the 15-0 on top of it. And I'm flipping my piece so I can be sewing in the direction I like to. Pick up a pink one, pink Toho 11-0, and go through the next 15-0. Pick up an 11-0, go through the next 15-0. We're going to do that all the way around, and what you're going to notice when you're doing it is this will ruffle on you because I'm using a big bead in between these little 15-0s. I wanted that effect because if you look at these components, this one kind of cups. They kind of cup and ruffle a little bit, the bigger ones even. And I wanted this ruffly to look kind of like a flower. The same reason I put the 15-0s on this the way I did, so it looked like the little, is it stamens? The little center of the flowers. So that's the intent here. So go ahead and put your 11-0s all the way around. Okay, I finished putting that ruffle on, and this one is ready to go. Actually, it was this one, the ruffle on, and it's ready to go. But I wanted to show you too, with this one, that you can actually add a double ruffle if you want to. You can put this side that I didn't add the 15-0s and ruffle on. You can just do the same thing you did on the first row and put a second one on if you want to. Also, I thought it might be interesting to do like all green around the pearl and then the colors. Anyway, so many ways you can do this, so many variations. If you do the double ruffle, you can do those in different colors. So many options. You will need 4 of the pearl components for the Steppingstone style bracelet, and you will need 6 of them for the flower cluster style bracelet. So once you get your pearl piece done, and you've got your other piece done, and I went ahead and put a connection on. This is the front of it. And this is the back. And what you want to do is work your way around your delicas until, if you're putting the first one on, you don't really need to worry about it. Just pick 2 delicas in here. But if you've already added a piece to another piece, you'll need to find your 2 delicas here and then find the 2 delicas that are opposite that delica on the other side. And you want to be coming out of those 2 delicas. And I hope that makes sense. And then you're going to get your other piece here. I've got too many threads. Too much thread. And you are going to pick up an 11-0, a super duo, a pearl, a super duo, and an 11-0. Coming out of this second of the 2 beads we're looking at. You're coming out of the delica that's across from your pear over here. And you're on the, from my point of view, right-hand side of that. So you're going to go into the right-hand side of whichever mini you choose to connect to. And you're going to go down that mini and into the pearl. Or the mini and then the pearl. And you want to go to the mini next door too, so if you can catch that, great. If not, just do them all one at a time. I think I'm going through, but to the front, so. Pull it back to the back. I'm going to go up through that mini duo to the top. Coming out of that mini, I'm going to pick up an 11-0 and go through the super duo. Pick up a pearl, go through the super duo. Pick up an 11-0. And you're going to go through the other side of your pear here. So you came out of this one to make this circuit, going through your second one. And pull everything snug. And we're then going to go through your 11-0 and your super duo, and I'm going to flip it around to the front here. So I'm coming out of that super duo on the front. I'm going to pick up an 11-0, well, 3 11-0s really, but I'm doing 2 different colors. Again, color options are your own, right? I got pink and blue here. You can do any of the colors. I'm going to go to the opposite. I'm coming out of, where am I? Coming out of this side of this super duo. So I'm going to go to the other side of the next super duo. Pull that snug. Go through that 11-0. And then I'm just going to go down to this 15-0, 11-0, 15-0, and go through those. Okay. Went back through the 11-0. And the super duo. And I'm pick up one 11-0 and go into the center, excuse me, the center 11-0 here, the center toe. Pick up an 11-0 and go through the other side of the super duo. And you've got your little cross pattern. Now you can go through and reinforce that whole circuit. Just go through it again. a time, maybe two, to get it stronger so that it's good and sturdy. And I'll see you back. We are going to connect all of your components with using these connections, and then we'll be back to add the clasps. We're going to work on our connection for the cluster version of the bracelet. I've already connected these parts right here, and the connection between these larger pieces and the smaller pieces is really the same bead, same beads. There's a word I'm looking for that's escaping me, but it's the same beads, but it's just connected a little bit differently on these smaller pieces. So I'm not sure where you may be coming out of at this point. I'm coming out of this mini duo. I'm just going to go into the 11-0 in between the two minis. Now, of course, if you're not connected to anything else, you can put your thread wherever you want to on this circle. So if you're connecting these two pieces, you want to make sure you're going to the opposite sides for these other, your other connections, obviously. I'm going to pick up an 15-0, one of the white tohos, and a 15-0. And I'm going into, and again, I've got to be careful on this side that I'm connecting on the opposite side of where I'm connected to this piece. So right here, I'm coming out of the top of this. I'm going to go into the bottom of this 11-0. And I'm going to pick up a 15-0, white tohos, and a 15-0. And I'm going back, coming out of that 11-0 on the bottom, going back to the bottom of this 11-0. Pull those together. Now I'm coming out of that 11-0. I'm going to go back through my whole circuit here, back through the 15-0, toho, the 15-0, but when I get down to this next 11-0, I'm going to go back through this 15-0 beside it on the outside, on the mini duo side. I hope you can see that well enough. I'm going to go through this 15-0 on the other side of the 11-0, next to the mini. Pull everything snug. I'm going to go up through the 15-0 and the toho. And I'm going to pick up one of my pink tohos. You can pick up any color you want. I'm coming out of this side of this white toho. I'm going to go through the other side of the white toho on the bottom. My thread's getting caught on all my spikes here, my flower petal spikes. coming out of this Toho. I'm going to go back down through the pink 11O. I'm going to go through the opposite side of the Toho. Back up through the pink 11O. Through that side of the Toho and into the 15O next to it. Okay. Then I'm going to go to the outside of this 15O next to the mini Duo and through that 11O. Go through the next 15O. Oh, I should have gotten a smaller needle for this. And just pull everything snug. And that's how the connections go between these larger pieces. And if you want to, you can go ahead and reinforce that. I will probably go around one more time, and then I will meet you back to put on one of those smaller flowers. And we're going to work on adding the smaller unit to the bigger unit. And I have just been using pieces of thread left over, like this unit has a piece of thread left over, and if it's long enough, I'll connect it, work my way around, follow my thread path to where I want it to be, and then use that to connect it. You can always, tie it off and use a fresh thread if you want, but this one is the one I used over here and I just moved around, but I have also tied some of these off. Anyway, however you want to do that. Whatever you do though, you work your way around. This is the bead opposite this bead. And I'm going to hook to the smaller unit. And I'm going to kind of flip it to the back for a minute, and I'm going to flip this. This has a front and a back. The front is where all the ruffle is, and you don't have to make it the front. You can make this the front if you want. Just be consistent, or don't be consistent. You can do whatever you want to with it. But I've been consistent, and I've been consistently making this the front, where the beads are attached to that row, and the row that doesn't have the beads attached is the one I've been making the back, and that's where I've been doing all of my connections, is here on the back. So I'm on the back here, open this around to the back, and I'm going to find, the great thing about these little ruffles is you can move them and bend them and do whatever you want to with them. So I'm going to find where I want to put this together. A little open area, or I'm going to open an area. I think I'm going to use this right here, coming out of this bottom side of the 11O. I'm going to pick up a 15O, a Toho, and a 15O. I'm going to go through these two delicates. Actually, I'm going to go through these two. You can pick whatever delicates you like. Pick up a 15O, a Toho, and a 15O. Coming out of that delica right there, I go back through the other side of the 11-0. And once we've connected this, we're going to pretty much do it the same way we did the two larger units, except that you're going through these delicas instead of the 11-0s. So I'm going to go through these two 11-0s and that 15-0. I'm just going to make that circuit again, kind of, through the delicas. Through the 11-0, I mean the 15-0, the 11-0, and the 15-0. And then just like on the larger one, I'm going to go through this outside 15-0 next to the mini duo and through the 11-0. And if you can get it through that other 15-0, you have to do those one at a time. You can do that too. And then I'm going to come back through this 15-0 and the 11-0. I'm going to kind of head it toward the front. Flip that over. Coming out of the right side to me of my 11-0, I'm going to pick up an 11-0, whatever color you want, and I'm going to go through the opposite side of the toe hole, the white toe hole on the other side. And go through the 11-0, go through the other side of that left side to me, that toe hole, the opposite side you came out of a minute ago. Uh-oh, I thread wrapped. So now I'm coming out of this side of the toe hole and back down through the 11-0. Again through the opposite side down here. And through that 15-0. Oh, I'm off camera. I'm off camera. So I came out of that, this side of that 11-0, came back down through this 11-0, and now I'm going through the opposite side of that 11-0. And pull everything tight. And I feel like that's pretty secure. I'm going to go back through, I'm going to flip it over the back again. I'm going to go back through those two delicas. I'm going through three of them. I'm just going to go ahead and tie this off. If you want to, you can make the circuit again, but I'm going to tie it. Done with it. And then, I don't know, do I need to? And I'll be back. We'll connect two of the smaller ones. Now we're going to connect the two smaller pieces. I have found the two delicas that's opposite the two delicas that I've connected to on this side. And I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a Toho white, and a 15-0. I've got everything upside down here because I'm working on the side of my pearl that's not connected to the ruffle. I'm going to find a place on this pearl that I want to connect to. And I'm going to use this tail thread for another connection. So I want to kind of go opposite that. So I'm going to pick two on this side. And because I'm coming out of the top of the two opposite my connection here, I'm going to go down to here. I'm going to pick up a 15-0, 11-0 Toho. They're running away. And a 15-0. I'm going to go through the bottom of those two delicas that I was originally came out of. And then I'm just going to do this circuit. I'm going to go back up through 15-0, 11-0, 15-0, through the two delicas, and back through the 15-0 and the 11-0. Uh-oh, hang on. Okay, sorry. And I'm going to flip this around to the front. And pick up the pink 11-0 coming out of this side of this toho. I'm going to go to the opposite side. Back through the 11-0. Coming out of that side of that 11-0. Through this 11-0, I'm going to go to the other side. This 11-0. What you're doing is just kind of a figure eight on it, right? Back up through pink 11-0. And then the opposite side of this 11-0. And you can go through that 15-0 as well. You just pull everything snug. And I'm going to flip back over to the back of the piece again. And I'm going to go through these two delicas again. Things are getting tight. So, you know, if you have to use your 12 needle in here, it's not a bad idea. Back up through your circuit again. I'm just going to go through the 15-0, 11-0, 15-0, and then back through these two delicas, and then I'm going through three because I'm going to go ahead and tie this off. So that is how you attach your larger pieces to your larger pieces, your large piece to your small piece, and your small piece to your small piece. And we're going to put that third one on, and then we'll be back to take care of the clasp. I have all my components connected together, and then we're going to add the clasp. So I have worked my way to the opposite of these two delicas, and I'm going to pick up a 15-0 and an 8-0 and one of my crystal rondelles, my Chinese crystals, and 4 11-0 Miyuki silvers, and 1 15-0. And I'm going to go through the other side of my clasp here. Now this clasp didn't come with the collection because I used that clasp on this other piece here. And then I used the toggle on the necklace that I made. You haven't seen the video for that. Sorry, I have a little thread here, but see if I can pull these out. So I made the toggle for the necklace that goes with this Dewdrop Fairy set. And this piece went with the this bracelet. And so I'm connected. I just had this in my stash. It's a magnetic clasp. You can use any clasp you want. You can use the same get up here. So I'm going to put that through. Let me just go over that again. I've got a 15-0 and 8-0, the Chinese rondelle, 4 of the 11-0s, and a 15-0. You go through the other side of that clasp. And I'm going to pick up 4 more 11-0s. And I'm going to go back through and onto the Chinese rondelle and the 8-0. I'm going to pick up a 15-0. Go back through the 2 of those, back through 2 of the delicas. 2 back from the delica that I came out of to begin with. It's going to look like that. And what I'm going to do is go through and reinforce that. Now this is the same way I put on this other clasp. So you're going to put this your clasps on. I mean, unless you've got a completely different kind of clasp and you need to do something else, but for these types of clasps, this worked really well. So same thing, I used the blue 8-0 here. So 2 15-0s, a blue 8-0, the Chinese rondelle, 4 of the 11-0 Miyukis. There's a 15-0 in there. Just to keep that from pulling on the thread, it pulls on the 15-0 instead. 4 more of the 11-0s and back down through. And then just go through your thread circuit there and reinforce it. And that's the same thing we've done here. Again, you got that 15-0 in there to keep anything from rubbing on your thread. So I'm going to reinforce all that and then we'll be back. Here are the finished bracelets in 2 different styles. I hope you enjoyed making one or both of them as much as I enjoyed creating them. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. It's free for you and it's helping me to build this channel. If you'd like to see more videos like it, hit the notification bell. And please share it with your beady friends. See you on the next video. Bye.